Our next storyteller is Delaney. Delaney, when I asked Delaney the last time that she faced an obstacle, she told me that on Friday she missed breakfast because she slept too late. Chronicles of a high school student. So I invite Delaney to come forward.
Alrighty, I'm just gonna hold the mic so I can feel more connected. Hello everyone, my name is Delaney McCarty. I am a senior at Princeton High School. I've gone to this church for my whole life. And one fun fact about me is that I am visually impaired. And so I've talked about this before with this church, but for those of you who need a quick crash course or refresher, I was born with foveal hypoplasia. And so the fovea is a region in the back of the eye that should be bent, but in my case, it's flat. And so that makes detailed vision very difficult. So stuff like reading, driving, really anything like that is made a whole lot difficult. And then because of time and school, my distance vision has not gotten very good. It's not improved, let's just say that. And so I've had 2 eye surgeries. I've had 15 pairs of glasses, and I'm 17, so if you do the math, that's a pretty high ratio of glasses to years alive. And I've received a bunch of accommodations to help me in school. As I said, reading is not very easy, so like extra time on tests, larger fonts, all of that kind of thing. But the big problem is, so I wear glasses, clearly, but they don't fix things entirely. And people tend to see me and they see the glasses and they think, oh, she can see perfectly fine because she's wearing her glasses. No, I can't. These are bifocals, which is another crazy thing to hear a teenager say, that she's wearing bifocals. But they do not completely fix. There is no complete cure for what I have. And so I just have to live with it and, try and figure out how to live my life. And so, I hold myself to a very high standard, and that requires that I figure out how to make things work, but there's so many problems, so many issues I'd figure out between school and social things and just how to access the world. So I guess one example is, so I can't drive at night. I could probably get away with it, but my parents will not let me. I've asked. They will not budge. That's probably for the best. But as a 17-year-old with friends that can drive at night and can go out to dinner in November, I would like to be able to drive people places. That's not a possibility. When I see people in passing in the hallway, if they don't say hi, Delaney, I most likely won't recognize them. Because if they just say hi, I'm going to think they're waving to someone else. I'm not going to see their facial features. I'm not going to be able to recognize them. So if that happens, I'm not being rude. I just can't tell who you are. And then recognizing things like cars. So my mom's car is bright turquoise. Her old car is bright blue. My dad's car is gray. So whose car do you think I have trouble finding at night? Yeah, very fun. So I went to Dunkin' Donuts earlier this week to get a big coffee because I was thinking, I have a huge amount of studying, I have a whole lab report to do, I have an environmental science test tomorrow, I'm gonna go get me some coffee. And so I walk in, I'm like the only one there except for whoever is doing the cashier at that point. And so I whip out my phone to go and zoom in on the menu, because their menu is very small. And the cashier says to me in a very judgmental tone of voice, "Are you taking a picture of the menu?" I was like, first of all, pull your mask up. You're serving me coffee. Second of all, it costs you no money to just let me do what I need to do. So, I mean, I was excited before to get my coffee, but now I'm like, oh, you kind of killed the vibe, sir. I usually don't get these rude responses. I may get some looks from time to time, but that usually just people they see me doing what I need to do and they don't pass any judgment. But there has been one pretty major change lately in how I access the world, and that is because of the pandemic. And as awful as it has been for people like me that have access needs, it's been a game changer with all the new technology and all the new ways that businesses have figured out how to avoid contact and exposure and that kind of thing. So it's made my life a whole lot easier. I'm sure many of you have gone to a restaurant in the past few months, and you've probably noticed that you were not handed a menu, but you were pointed towards a QR code to scan. For someone like me, that is a life changer. That is a godsend. I cannot tell you how many times I've looked up the menu to a restaurant before I went there so I didn't have to deal with a menu. A life changer. And then there's also school. And so, like I've said multiple times, I can't read very well. I can read, it's just with difficulty because I can't see very well. And so now, basically all of my textbooks are digital. All of my course materials are digital. I can make the fonts however big I want. I can zoom in however much I want and do whatever I need to do in order to see, which has been such a big change in how I do school. And compared to before, where I just have to grin and bear it, wear my reading glasses, use a magnifier, get a bunch of headaches because I can't see because the font is really small. Now I don't have to spend as much time doing work because I can see. And I didn't realize before how much of a problem that was creating. And so, like I said earlier, I'm a senior this year, so I've been applying to colleges. Woo, exciting. For those of you who aren't very familiar with the college admissions process in 2021, so there is a service called the Common App that many colleges accept, and basically you write an essay, you answer some questions, and that gets sent to all of the colleges you're applying to, and then maybe they'll ask you to answer a few more questions, that kind of thing. And so my essay that got sent to all of the colleges was about my eyesight. And in that essay, I compared myself to an oil droplet in a bucket of water because I feel separated from the rest of society for my access needs. But my other point was that this isn't the way it has to be. It's really a simple matter of asking what I need and helping me get what I need. And so at the end of this essay, I propose a sort of coalition type entity that's focused on advising people, government, businesses about how best to accommodate for people with different access needs. So vision, hearing, learning disabilities, neurodivergence, really anything of the sort. And also, just as a side note, my mom sobbed when she read this essay. So I'm hoping for good results from my college applications. However, I still feel reason for hope outside of a large coalition. If we're gonna completely disregard that Dunkin' Donuts cashier that I mentioned earlier, I've noticed a difference in how people react to my needs. So my phone, the font size is 310%, which is the largest font size that Apple offers. If y'all can see how big that is. That's what I need to be able to see. And then my computer screen is regularly zoomed in. And so peers at school will see this, maybe they might ask about it. They may be like, oh, that's so funny, her font is so big. Never in a rude way. But there's it's an influx of comments that I didn't really get before, because last year I was online. This year, I actually have the font this big. The year before the pandemic, I was thinking about this. I was like, I don't think I actually had the font this big back then. So that's why it's completely new. And so about a month ago, I was working on a group project for environmental science. And I was doing some research with one group member while the other two were out in the hallway starting our poster. And so he looks over at my computer screen and he goes, "Wow, that is some very large font." And so of course I have to explain everything, yada, 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 I can't see. And then he says, "Is there anything the band program could do to better support you?" Which, this is a big deal to me, because I hardly know this guy. And second of all, he is lead saxophone in the top band at PHS. He is an incredibly talented player, and he has no obligation to care about what I need. No obligation. But he still took the time to ask, what could we be doing better to better support you? So that was a big deal, and I have no idea if he realizes how much that meant to me, but it meant a lot. And these are the people and the moments that give me hope for a better future for myself, and give me the reassurance that I do have a place in this world and in this society that's not made for me. I hope my story today has given you some insight into my life, and that people like me, all we need is people to listen and people to accept us for what we are. All it takes is a simple question: what do you need? Thank you.